Hello and welcome to COS Indiana Live as we bring you Roundtable. The Roundtable segment is presented here every fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m. We'll be focusing on education and discussion of the topics and challenges we all face as we use the Constitution to save the Constitution. Join us now as we bring you COS Indiana Roundtable with our MC, John Ackerman.
Thanks, Marengo Mike, and welcome to COS Indiana Roundtable. I'm your host, John Ackerman. Our roundtable will have 3 segments. In our first segment, you're going to meet a few of our Indiana district captains and find out some of their most important issues. Now, we're going to show you a map of Indiana. We have 100 districts in the state. They correspond to the 100 seats in the Indiana, excuse me, they correspond to the 100 seats in the Indiana House of Representatives. We're going to meet 5 of these district captains tonight. Cindy Yergay from District 12, Melba Kaiser, District 29, Cheryl Shopmeyer from 46, Dr. Dan Stock, District 88, and Michael Baugh from Indiana 60. Now, if you want to get in touch with any of these folks, or if I forget why George Ward's email address is up there, but George wanted people to be able to contact him. You can email George at george.ward@cosaction.com. That's why we put his email address up there. If you want to get in touch with any of our district captains, find out who yours is, or volunteer to become one, that's how you connect with George Ward at cosaction.com. So after the first segment concludes, we're going to introduce you to some of our great educational resources. We're going to hear from our state director, Dale Parrish, and from our legislative liaison, Paul Phillips. They're going to introduce you to some of our great educational resources. And then in the third segment, I'll welcome our state leadership team to answer some important questions about Convention of States, and we're calling it I Want to Know. Now, if there's anything you want to know about Convention of States, feel free to post your question. If you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, just click the comment button and enter your question. We will try to answer your question during the I Want to Know segment. So let's jump right into our first topic, our COS Indiana District Captains. Our first one, I want to introduce you to Dr. Cindy Yergay. She is a pediatrician practicing medicine in the northwest corner of the state. And here she is. Welcome, Cindy. Tell us what district you are captain of district number, and you live where?
Sure, I'm district captain in District 12. I'm in Western Indiana, but my District 12 covers southern part of Hammond, Highland, Munster, and Cherville.
Okay, and tell us why Convention of States is so important to you that you would give up your time and talent to serve as a district captain.
Well, I really haven't liked the direction the country's been heading the past 6 months. And ever since the end of the November 2020 elections and then President Biden being in office, I've really not liked the direction of where things are going. And I'm worried for my children and my grandchildren. And I became a district captain because I think we've got to do something. It's going to be at the grassroots level. And the states are the ones that are going to be able to turn this government around. The federal government is overreaching too much and, wanting us to do things that I don't agree with. Critical race theory I have issues with, and I've been 30 years working in the school districts in urban centers in Pittsburgh, Chicago, and now Gary. And these poor kids, the school systems, public school systems are in, these kids are just going to never be able to get ahead. If you can't get a good education, you cannot get ahead in life. And I'm very much for school choice, and we've just got to do something to stop the overreach of the federal government.
Okay, and I can see the connection there and why you want to be involved. And really, I think you're wise. One very important, necessary step to doing this is to change what the children are learning in the schools. So thank you for your service, Dr. Yurgay, and we do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to our next district captain. This is Melba Kaiser. Melba, okay, I see I need to slow down a little bit to give Dale time to do this. Melba, you are the captain of District 29, so tell us where you live.
Yes, I live in Noblesville, and that's where I'm the district captain, but that also includes parts of Fishers and parts of Carmel.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're involved, and it's been good getting to know you. So tell us, why in the world do you want to be a district captain? You don't get paid for it. It's all volunteer. Why do you want to do this?
Well, I was born in Cuba, and anybody who experiences life under a communist regime knows that there is no such thing as individual rights. One of the very first things that Fidel Castro did after the regime took over was that he closed down religious schools. My brother and I had been attending a private school, so our education was literally put on hold until we came to the United States. Growing up, my parents always stressed the importance of education, following the law, contributing to your community, and stressed the freedoms that we enjoyed here. So along with speaking about these things, they also exemplified those principles in their own lives. Now, I was fortunate to have received what I consider a good education, which included critical thinking. My family lived in Virginia during my middle school and early high school years, and that's where I gained my understanding of what it took to establish our democratic republic form of government. For the last few decades, I've worked to uphold the pledge that I took the day that I became a citizen. I love this country. I love the Constitution. And I firmly believe that we live in the greatest country in the world. So I feel very privileged to have gotten the chance to grow up here and to build a family here. Unfortunately, I have a lot of family in Cuba that has not been as blessed. What I've sensed in the last few years is that what's being taught to our upcoming generation is not an understanding of what it took to form this nation. They haven't been taught our full history, why we have the best form of government in the world, and the strides that we've made to make ours a more perfect union. It's not perfect, but it's more perfect and getting more perfect every day.
Yeah.
We can take our government back. So many of them also lack the knowledge of the evils of communism and socialism. So I became involved in COS about 5 years ago. After volunteering in several different capacities, I decided to become a district captain so that I could reach out to other people and help them to get engaged in taking back our government and being active in self-governance.
That's important. It's a government of we, the people.
Right.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you for your service, Melba, and it's a pleasure to have you on the roundtable tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Now we'll move on to our third district captain. Want to introduce you to Cheryl Shopmeyer.
Hi.
Cheryl, hi, welcome. You are captain of District 46.
Correct.
So tell us where you live and tell us where you live.
Okay. I live in Bowling Green, and it's a really small town surrounded by other small towns like Clay City, and a little bit of Brazil is part of my district, a little bit of Terre Haute, and a little bit of Bloomington. So Ellettsville, those places. So
Yeah, they chop the districts up pretty well, don't they? It'll be interesting to see what they come up with this year in the redistricting. So, Cheryl, tell us about your COS story. Why do you want to be a district? Why are you a district captain?
Well, I for a long time have believed that government is too big, and it's a bad idea to have big government. The more dictating they are to us, the less liberty we have.
Yeah.
And I just know that people stay in office too long, and when they do that, they become entrenched, and they actually, like, it's almost like through osmosis, that they just kind of assimilate into the system that's broken. So I was watching Biblical Citizenship, and Mark Meckler came on there, was talking about COS.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I didn't even know anything about it, which I was just astounded. I had heard nothing about it. This was in March. And he said something about district captains being the most important position. So I went to the website, I was looking around. I decided to become a volunteer, and I was like, wait a minute, maybe I should try this. They probably won't take me as a district captain, but I'm going to apply anyway. So I did that. And next thing I know, I'm a district captain, and I'm absolutely excited to be a part of it. I just want to share my passion with everyone that will listen. And a lot of people are listening. So it's been pretty exciting. But it wasn't enough for me to be a volunteer. I had to do something, take some kind of action. So that's why I became a district captain. And I've also been looking into running for school board at some time.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's really putting feet to the idea of self-governance.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations, and glad to have you on board. You say you just discovered us in March?
In March.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for stepping up and taking over that district. It's good to have you on board.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Now we're going to move to another medical doctor, physician, Dr. Dan Stock. Hello, Dan. Long time no see.
Hi, John. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. So you're the captain of 88, huh?
That's right.
And where are you? Where do you live in this state?
I am in the western part of Hancock County, just on the eastern side of Indianapolis.
All right. Well, I drive through there every once in a while. Good to see you. Okay. So why would, you're the second physician who we're interviewing tonight. So why would you want to take time away from your patients and so on to volunteer your time with Convention of States?
Well, I've been working with Convention of States as a volunteer since 2015 when I worked to help us get approved. But I'm a functional family medicine physician, which means basically I'm a paste-eating science geek more than the average doctor is. And when I saw how science is frankly just being misused as a way to make profit and take power over people's lives through fear using this COVID-19, I got particularly concerned that this was becoming a problem, started becoming more active. And finally, in December, when I realized, geez, I'm one of the few people who can actually explain to people how this is being abused and how much like Nazi Germany this looks. Which is my other calling card. My dad was a bomber pilot in World War II, so I'm a big aficionado of Nazi history. And so when I saw all the parallels developing between the takeover of the Nazis and what's going on in the United States, it's like, okay, Dad can do it in a bomber. Nobody's going to shoot at me. It's probably time to become a district captain. It's going to make the abject fear go away.
Yeah, and I can see they're trying to ramp up the fear again with this Delta variant.
Yes, and as a scientist, I look at this and we're all talking about infections, even though infections don't matter. It's only disease. And they just completely brushed aside all of the stuff that would let you be relaxed and focus on these things that don't matter. But if you don't know anymore, they're very scary. And this is the same kind of propaganda that I saw in all my studies of Nazi Germany history, that this is what they did with the media.
It's amazing to see this happen right in our own time.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you've joined Convention of States. Thank you for helping us pass the resolution in 2016, and thank you for being a district captain.
Pleasure and a privilege.
Okay. Good evening.
You too, John. Bye-bye.
Bye. And finally, we'll bring in our 5th district captain. This is Mike Baugh. Mike, hi there.
Hi, John. How are you?
I am well, my friend. So we see that you're captain in District 60. Tell us where that is and where you live.
Well, I live in Martinsville, and so it does include most of Martinsville, and it includes some of Mooresville and a little bit of Bloomington. The Highway 67 and Highway 37/69 highway corridor there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've driven that road myself a few times, and I'm glad to see the improvements getting up to interstate standards.
Yes, it's not fun right now, but
Never is during the construction. Okay, Mike, well, as I asked the others before you, tell our audience why you're interested in being a district captain.
Well, John, I started hearing about the Convention of States before the 2020 election, I guess, a little. And I thought it was interesting at that time. And then the 2020 election happened, and I saw that fiasco and all the fraud that boiled out of the election, and I was I looked at Convention of States then as possibly the last hope to save our republic.
Mm-hmm.
And I frankly can't believe the speed with which socialists who are now in the halls of power are working to destroy our country, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I started looking. I signed the petition, of course, and started looking at some of the information. And I tell you, I had planned to get involved, but then I became inspired by the words of one of the founders, which basically said that if you want to preserve self-governance, then which is what our republic is, then you have to participate. And I think it's true that if we don't, but we have over the years sort of strayed, put politics and things over there and said, you know what, I don't want to be a part of that. But when you don't participate and pay attention to what's going on, then it can't be a big surprise when it is a mess. And we have a mess right now, and anybody with two eyes knows that. So then I looked to get as involved as I could, and I noticed that my district, which was 60, had no district captain. And of course, I saw the same thing that I believe it was Cheryl that said, no, it was Melba that said, this is the most important thing, aspect of Convention of States, because it was at the grassroots level.
Yep.
And so since there was none, then I applied to be the district captain for it. And the folks with the Convention of States welcomed me in. And so I began training and learning about the Constitution. And I'm not kidding. It has been just an unbelievable educational experience for me. It really has.
Yeah, we have some pretty good training materials.
Oh,
and I had nothing to do with them. I just happen to know they're good.
Yes, the biblical citizenship. I'm taking that now. That I think it was Melba that was talking about. It is absolutely excellent, and I have learned more taking that class than I think I did in my public education combined about our founders and some of the great patriots that gave their lives and sacrificed to make this the greatest country in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring. Okay, well, Michael, we have to move on. And so I do want to thank you for your time and for your service as a district captain.
My pleasure, John.
Okay, good night. Okay, that wraps up the first segment. Now we're going to move into our second segment, and I want to bring on the two leaders who are going to talk to us about our educational resources. Dale Parrish is our state director. Hi, Dale. Welcome to the Roundtable.
Hi, John.
And our legislative liaison is Paul Phillips. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, gentlemen.
I think I'm going to go backstage and let you two guys share with us about some educational resources.
All right. Thanks, John. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. This, as John said, this is segment 2. We're going to talk about education, and I want to bring up my PowerPoint here to give us some information. What we're really talking about here is the educational resources that we have available to us, not only here in Indiana, but throughout Convention of States. And I'm just going to kind of briefly give you an idea of these resources. And then we're going to take one of them tonight and feature it. And Paul is going to give you some more in-depth information about that particular educational resource that we have available. And hopefully, if we can share the screens properly, we'll make this happen. But for right now, I just want to, like I said, I want to kind of give you an idea of some different resources that we have. Now, the first resource and probably the main resource that we have in our group of resources here is Convention of States University, COS University. Now, this was the resource we featured on our roundtable on June 28th that we talked about. Now, COS University has just a long list of different videos and training materials that we can provide everyone that comes into Convention of States. If you're just a volunteer, we can provide you some general introductory courses to Convention of States. Now, if you want to become a district captain, like the 5 that we interviewed in segment 1, then we have a more extensive training program that involves many, many more of the courses from COS University. So a major resource that we have available to us, COS University. I might mention another resource we have is our YouTube channel, COS Indiana. This is very, very much an educational resource that we have available to us. We have recordings of broadcasts like we are on tonight. We have narrated PowerPoint presentations. We have links to other materials. So our YouTube channel is very, very much an educational resource for us. And of course, it's also where we are live streaming this broadcast. So it also serves as an alternative means of viewing our broadcast. So that's our YouTube channel. Here is a resource that we have. It's called the Wiki page, the Wiki address. And you're going to hear a little bit more about this in just a minute or two. But this is a page, and I might mention this was authored by one of our individuals here in leadership here in Indiana. And I'll be talking about this a little bit more in just a few minutes. But this has a wealth of information for individuals where you can access, if you have a particular question about Convention of States or a historical question, you can go to this resource and find the answer. Very, very helpful resource. Our Constitution coaches. We have a group of Patriot Academy certified Constitution course coaches available to you that these are trained, as I said, certified coaches that can provide you a class on our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, a wealth of information. And this can be if you perhaps are a member of a group, a small group that would like to learn more about the Constitution, this would be a perfect way for you to do that. Again, these are individuals that are available to you to set up a program to teach you about the Constitution and other major documents for our country. Very, very great resource that we have available to us. Another resource that we have is our Monday evening broadcast on COS Indiana Live. Actually, the broadcast this evening, the Roundtable broadcast, is one of the COS Indiana Live broadcasts. But every other Monday night, we come on at 7 o'clock and we cover different aspects of Convention of States here in Indiana, introducing you to more of our leadership individuals. And then we get into some educational materials, general information about Convention of States. So kind of a mini version of our roundtable this evening is on every other Monday evening. So we then dedicate every fourth Monday, we dedicate that to the roundtable as we're doing this evening. So I might also mention we have a couple podcasts available. Paul does the Free to Be Free podcast, and then we do the COS Indiana Live podcast, which is the audio version of our Monday evening broadcast. So we have two podcasts available for us here in Indiana. Convention of States, our main website, and this is the featured resource that we want to talk about tonight. And Paul, I'm going to let you come on and talk to us about conventionofstates.com.
All right, so I'm going to
I guess I have to remove this and add yours. Huh?
Sure. There we go. So what you're seeing now is our website at conventionofstates.com. And once you go to it, the first thing I want to draw your attention to is this petition in the middle of the screen. This is the primary way that we let your state legislators know that you're in support of the Convention of States project. And if you're curious about what's in the petition, right here above your name, you can click on see the full petition. It's just a few paragraphs, doesn't take long to read, but it's basically expressing your support for the Convention of States project. So when you fill out the petition with your contact information, pardon me, and I have to mention your address is a very important part of the information, because that's how we determine your legislators and make sure that your support is registered along with others in your district, and that we get those to the correct legislator. Now, the website says send to my state legislator. Since we're already a past state, we don't send legislators new emails, but we do aggregate your support with others. And when we meet with legislators, we're able to take a spreadsheet to them of all the supporters in their district. And we'd love to count your support in that. Now, another important thing you can do is sign in, and more specifically, create a login. If you can sign in with Facebook or Twitter, or if you don't, if you want, you can just sign up using your email and a password. And once you do that, we're going to have an opportunity to better communicate with you on how you can get involved. I'm going to point out a couple of other things on this page here you can find all kinds of information on why we should support a convention of states, what it's all about, how it works, so on. And then you can track our progress. We have a progress map here where green states are states that are already passed. We have 15 of those. The yellow, we passed one chamber of the legislature in that state. And then the blue, we have active legislation. So we are making great progress, and you can keep track of that from this page. You're probably wondering who's behind this. You can figure out who our national leaders are. And then we have a very large number of endorsements if you're interested in checking into that. So that's the very first page, what you'll see. Across the top here, you can see additional information. Latest news. We'll get you just some of the news from Convention of States, all kinds of articles in education that you can take a look at. The Take Action section is how you can really get involved with us, and our host, John, is going to take you through that a little later. As far as resources, this is where you can go if you really want to learn the details of what's going on, the process, answers to objections, more about the solution and how it works. We also have a blog section where you can see the latest articles. This is all states, telling you about our news from a national standpoint, but you can select Indiana, for example, and you get news articles about what's been going on in our state. We had a great group at a 4th of July parade in Noblesville. You have some podcasts, leaders gathering, all kinds of news about Convention of States in the state of Indiana. We also have a store if you want to get a cool shirt or hat, help support us that way. And I'd encourage you to check that out. And of course, you can also donate from the page right here. Of course, any organization like ours doesn't exist without funding. We also have internship opportunities. If you have college level students who are looking for an opportunity to get some great experience, I'd encourage you to check out the internship page. And then finally, I'll point out our simulation page. This is a very interesting project that we did back in 2016, where we held a simulated convention of states with actual legislators from all 50 states to demonstrate how the process works. And I'd encourage you really to check that out. So that's a quick rundown of what our webpage looks like.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. Well, what I wanted to kind of wrap up this segment on was, I told you I was going to talk about the wiki page a little bit more, but so we've decided that our featured resource, as I said, each month we're going to pick out one of the educational resources to feature. Tonight we featured the conventionofstates.com website. Last month we featured COS University. So next month, August 23rd, we're going to feature the wiki page. And we're going to have, as a guest that evening, we're going to have the gentleman that authored this page, and that is Jerry Rowe. He's a senior Indiana Systems Information Analyst for us here in Indiana. And Jerry is the one that put this all together. And it's not only a resource for us here in Indiana, but it is a resource for Convention of States nationally. So we're very, very, very proud of what Jerry has accomplished here. So, John, that's going to be what we're going to be talking about a month from now. And I think with that note, I believe that's a wrap for this segment.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dale and Paul. Very interesting to listen to you talk about all the educational resources that we have. Now, we're going to move into our third segment, and it's called I Want to Know. And of course, on the live broadcast, the first thing we'll do is bring up the 5 members of the state executive team. But then after that, we'll see if there are any viewer questions that we want to bring in. But right now, I just want to welcome Gary Harbaugh to the roundtable. Welcome, Gary. Good to see you.
Thanks, John. Great to be here. Been a great show so far.
Okay. Glad you've enjoyed it. And Ken Kashuba. Good evening, Ken. Welcome back to the roundtable.
Thank you, John. Good to see you guys.
All right. And George Ward is our state grassroots coordinator. Welcome, George. It's looking nice outside there where you're sitting. And we've got 2 more. George, you were muted. And we bring Dale back in as our state director. And, Dale, you might just want to leave you and Paul in there, and then we'll just bring the other 3.
Well, I thought about that. Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Okay. Okay, and as I already said, if we have any viewer questions, we'll get those first. Dale will have those ready to go, but we don't have any. So, I have 2 questions for George Ward.
Now wait a minute. Okay, so like John said, if we had some viewer questions, then what we're going to do is then I'm going to say, John, we have a question from so and so, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but if we run out of those or don't have any of those, then I'm going to say, well, John, we do have a question here from another viewer, and let me show you what it is. And his question is, what is Article 5?
Yeah, and I'm going to throw that one to George. But before I do, George, you probably weren't here yet, but way back at the beginning, when Dale showed the map of the Indiana districts, and he had the names of the 5 district captains who were on, your name and email address was there, and I don't remember why. Can you?
In case they wanted a copy of the state map, they could notify me and I'd send them a copy of it.
Okay, yeah. Copy of the state map. Okay, I'll do it right on Monday night. Copy of the map. Okay. So, George, give us your best answer to what in the world is this Article 5 thing?
Are you really wanting an answer? I started answering one time before and I got slapped by Dale.
Well, I think this is the dress rehearsal and it's being recorded.
Real quick, Article 5 of the United States Constitution gives us instructions on how the Constitution may be amended. There's basically 2 methods. The most common one most people are aware of is by Congress. 2/3 of both houses of Congress can propose an amendment, and at that 2/3 point, they can send it out to the states for ratification. But the founders, in their wisdom and they're smart, realized 2 days before they were scheduled to close the Constitutional Convention, not the Convention of State, the Constitutional Convention, which is the only one we've had, and there are no more scheduled. George Mason stood up and said, "Are we so naive to think that blah 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 Congress be so, are going to do anything to rein in their own power?" So to balance that out, checks and balances here, right? So to balance that out, they gave the citizens via their state legislatures the same authority to propose an amendment. When 2/3 of the states apply for a convention for the same subject, for the same reason, then Congress shall call. That means they must call the convention. 2/3 of the states, 2/3 of Congress. See a theme running here. So then that is what Article 5 is. It gives us the 2 methods that we are able to amend the Constitution. The process is the same. Anything that comes out of the Convention of the States, not a constitutional convention, the Convention of the States. It's a meeting. Nothing magical comes out of that, just ideas, okay? Ideas out of the convention then go to the Secretary of Congress and they're disseminated to the states for ratification. Same process there as would be if it's coming from Congress.
Okay, so you gave us a lot of good in the weeds stuff. about about what Article 5
Is that
is.
good or bad? I don't know.
Well, a little bit of both, because I think unknowingly you stepped a little bit on the next question that Ken's going to ask. Next question
John,
is,
we got another question.
Yeah, what is a convention of states? And I'm going to ask our Ken Kashuba. He's our state communications director. Ken, how do you answer that question?
Well, John, it's pretty simple. It's basically a convention that is called by the states. We need 34 states to come together to call the convention, be able to call a convention, and then at that time, Congress has to set a date and time to actually have that convention take place. Each state basically has delegates that they send to represent each state. Each state can have as many delegates as they want, but each state only gets one vote. And those vote and the things that are basically being addressed have to be addressed by each state. It can't be something that every state brings a different thing they want to amend to the Constitution. So it's all agreed upon, and once those 34 states have gotten together for this convention, then we need 38 of them to pass it. And basically that allows the states the power to make the amendment to the Constitution, as George has alluded to, a way that the Congress has no power. They basically their only job is to call it, set the date and time. So it's basically a way to the Convention of States basically is a way to give the people, we the people, the opportunity to fix our government, rein in our government, whatever it is that we are looking at to address as far as an amendment is concerned.
So 34 states would call for the convention, but all 50 states would participate. Is that right?
Yeah, all 50 have to participate, would participate, but it only takes 38 to pass it.
Well, the 38...
only 38. That's still, like I say, as George said, that's 2/3 that have to be, that have to pass that.
Okay, we don't want to confuse our viewers, because the 38 states would be the ones to ratify any proposed amendments. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. But in the convention, each state, you say, gets one vote, and a simple majority would rule, right? So 26 states voting yes would submit that amendment to all 50 legislatures.
Correct.
To be ratified or not. Okay. Thanks, Ken. Okay. Dale, do we have another question?
We sure do, John. And here is another question that has come up.
Quite a good question. What's the plan? How are you going to get this done? Let's ask Paul Phillips to respond to that. Paul, what is the plan?
Well, the plan is, of course, the first step that we have to do is get 2/3 of the states, 34 states, to ask for the convention. So our plan is to activate state grassroots and have them petition their state legislature to pass a resolution asking for the convention. And what we want to do is get a district captain in each representative district in each state to build a relationship there and build a strong grassroots army in the state to animate the state legislatures to call the convention by getting to 34.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that'll get us well on the way then.
Yes.
Okay, so the next question, I guess, Dale, is pretty logical, isn't it?
Yes.
Next question says, next question says, are we making any progress? Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, how about if Gary Harbaugh handles that one?
Thanks, John. John, we are making some great progress. I won't tell you that it's been easy. It's been a battle all the way. There are people who don't want this to happen. But as was mentioned earlier this evening, 15 states have passed substantially identical resolution calling for the states to come together and talk about the three topics that we've that we have mentioned. And in addition to that, we have legislation pending in about 30 other states. I don't have the list in front of me right now. We passed in the one house of the, most of the legislatures are bicameral. We passed in at least one house in another number of states. And we have passed through committees in some of the other states. So there'll be the House Committee on whatever we passed. And so we have a substantial amount of action that has taken place, and we're working on this. And in even the states where nothing has happened, it's not because we haven't been working our plan. We have active volunteers in all 50 states, and we are making progress.
All right, that's encouraging to know. And so I'm waiting for Dale to put up the last question.
All right.
Now, we passed this resolution in 2016. That's like 5.5 years ago. So what can we in Indiana be doing now while we're waiting for 34 states to pass it?
Well, I think I'm going to take that one, John. So, I would say...
I forgot to throw it to you.
I would say, there's really nothing else for us to do. We passed the resolution, so we can just kind of step back and,
put the feet up, drink some iced tea. I like it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
No, unfortunately, that was kind of the thought process, I think, by a lot of people once the resolution was passed in 2016. But we soon learned that there's a great deal more to do since passing the resolution. And that's mainly growing the grassroots, getting as many as possible supporters in Convention of States. Okay, is that a dog or what? Somebody's making some noise.
We heard some noise.
I was scraping on the table.
Yeah, well, it was coming through. It was coming through.
Do not scrape, George.
Don't scrape, George. Okay, and and we've got to continue to maintain our relationships with our Indiana legislators, and especially new legislators that come into office since passing the resolution. Many times. Our new legislators have no idea what the resolution is about, what Convention of States is about. So we always have an educational process, an educational challenge for new legislators. So growing the grassroots, maintaining legislator relationships, and of course, always being alert as to any effort to rescind this resolution that was passed in 2016. And then also, whenever we can, to help states that have yet to pass the resolution, help in any way we can to support them to get the resolution passed. So a lot of work was yet to be done, and I will say this, that Indiana is doing a great job in ever since we have passed the resolution.
Well, that's all encouraging stuff, and it just highlights some of the reasons for us to stay involved and not just sit back on our laurels and pat ourselves on the back, say we were number 6, right, out of 15 who have passed it. So, okay.
That's right.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your input. Well, now we're going to move into our final segment, and to kick us off, here's an important video.
Minded Americans faced a difficult question. What do we do now? Our cities have been ravaged by riots. Calls from the left to defund the police continue unabated, while violent crime and murder rates skyrocket across the country. Joe Biden controls the White House, sort of. Really, we all know that Joe Biden's no longer in control of his faculties, and others behind the scenes actually control the agenda. Socialists control Congress. Leftists control the deep state. Marxists control our country's schools and universities, and the tech oligarchs are their willing censors and watchful spies. So who has a plan to stop them? Certainly, we're not seeing courage from Capitol Hill to stand up to the Democrats and their woke mob. The good news is that we do have a plan to stop them. This is the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. And this plan brings the fight to where we, the people, have a political advantage. While many Americans were disappointed in the outcome of this election at the presidential level, liberty-minded state legislators quietly swept to enormous victories. Now's the time to use this to our advantage and draw the fight for our liberties out of the swamp and into the battlefield where we, the people, have the advantage, in the states. This plan to call a convention of states can propose constitutional amendments that prohibit Congress from adding justices to the Supreme Court or states to the Union. This plan can secure our Second Amendment rights. It can eliminate the woke Department of Education, and it can stop the federal government from taking over the state election process. You need to know that this plan's underway already, and it's working. Join 5 million supporters and citizen activists, along with my friends Mark Levin, Rand Paul, Ben Shapiro, Glenn Beck, Mike Huckabee, Sean Hannity, and many, many more.
The Convention of States, ultimately, fundamentally, the way to secure our republic.
Washington is so broken it may not be fixable, and that the only way you'll truly get reform is by having a convention where people decide, we need to have term limits, or we have to have a balanced budget amendment.
I have endorsed it, and I believe very strongly that it's the only way we're ever going to get a balanced budget amendment. It's the only way we're ever going to be able to bring some real reform to our system.
I mean, I've been a longtime supporter of the Convention of States and to reestablish the sort of guiding principles of the Constitution.
You have a chance of really saving the republic. I am all in. ConventionofStates.com.
And now I'm joining Convention of States to make this happen. So join me in this constitutional revolution at ConventionofStates.com. They have a petition. Go sign it today.
Support the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. Sign the petition at ConventionofStates.com.
Wow. Well, if you're not one of those 5 million supporters, please join Convention of States right now by visiting ConventionofStates.com. There you can sign our petition, as Paul Phillips talked about just a few moments ago. And if you really want to help make a difference, up at the top of that page where it says Take Action, just click that. And then you can click where it says Become a Leader. And there you can apply for a leadership position in Indiana or in whatever state you happen to be living. I lost my place. Okay. And you can help by becoming a leader and help us to make history. So mark your calendar so you won't miss our next roundtable on the 4th Monday of August. That will be August 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm John Ackerman for COS Indiana Roundtable.